Magandang araw po sa inyo mga kapwa ko guro at sa ating po mga stakeholders at partners sa Department of Education. At this outset, nagpapasalamat po tayo sa ating mga partners, lalong-lalo na sa ating organizers ng activity na ito. Maraming salamat po for serving as a partner of the Department of Education at making this campaign for the awareness of our stakeholders for the child protection policy of the Department of Education. Kumusta po kayo aking mga kaguro sa Labisares District, Northern Samar at saka sa Paranas District sa Samar? I hope nasa magandang kalagayan po tayo at palagi pong ligtas. Isagawa po natin yung mga health protocol na ina-advise ng ating Department of Health. I am your discussant for today. I am Atty.Risty Adarayan, the Legal Officer of the Department of Education, Division of Northern Samar. I would like also to take this opportunity to encourage you to subscribe to my channel, GURO, Batas at Bayan. You know, I am also a YouTube vlogger at mahanap nyo rin sa aking mga vlog yung DepEd Child Protection Policy, yung DepEd Administrative Cases, procedure on how to handle bullying incident in schools and other laws related to education. So I am inviting you also to subscribe to my channel. Hanapin nyo lang po ang GURO, Batas at ang Bayan. At this time, mga kaguro at ang ating mga stakeholders, talakayin po natin ang tinatawag na DepEd Child Protection Policy and the need for it. Unang slides, makikita po natin ang statistics regarding the report of incidents of bullying in schools. This is for school year 2013 to 2014 to 2014 to 2015 up to 2015 to 2016. Makikita natin sa ating data that the incidence is increasing. So from 2013 up to 2016, medyo tumataas po ang number ng bullying incidents in school. And in these slides, we can see the numerical value of our graph. So ayan, so nasa Region 8 tayo. In 2013 to 2014, we have 47 with the incidence of bullying. 2014 to 2015, 291. At saka 2015 to 2016, medyo tumaas po siya to 974. And the next slide is shows the report of incidents of child abuse in schools. This is also for 2013, 2014, school year 2014 to 2015, 2015 to 2016. So makikita din natin sa ating graph, mapataas din ang incidence of child abuse in school at a very alarming rate. So yun po, on the next slides, makikita natin yung numerical value for Region 8, 17 from 2013 to 2014, school year 2014 to 2015, naging 11, at tumaas siya sa 2015 to 2016, naging 150. So this data is based on the submitted report by school and consolidated by the region submitted to the central office. So yun po yung data na nakuha natin on the incidence of child abuse and on the incidence of bullying in school. So makikita natin dyan na talagang papataas yung incidence of bullying and abuse. That is why there's really a need for us to be aware of the DepEd Child Protection Policy para maiwasan yung mga ganitong incident. Okay, so we have here on the next slides the DepEd effort to protect children. Action Policy, protection of the children in the armed conflict, guidelines on the CER and CICL, children at rest and children in conflict with the law, and of course we have the Anti-Bullying Act. We will not discuss all these guidelines and policies, laws related to children protection. We will just focus on the Child Protection Policy and the Anti-Bullying Act of 2013. So let us start. A Child Protection Policy is embodied in Department Order number 40, series of 2. Is to ensure that schools are a safe place for education of our children, and it is the child shall be the paramount consideration in all decisions and actions involving children. So there is a zero tolerance policy for any act of the child abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, bullying, and other related offenses. So tandaan po natin, child abuse, exploitation, discrimination, bullying, and other related offenses is a big no in the Department of Education. We go to the next slides. A child is any person below 18 years of age or over, but unable to fully take care or protect themselves because of a physical, mental disability or condition. Pupils or students who may be 18 years of age or older but are in school. So tandaan po natin, the definition of the child under DepEd Child Protection Policy does not only limit to those who are below 18 years old, but also it may apply to 18 years old above, but unable to fully take care or protect themselves because of physical or mental disability. And also, even if the student is more than 18 years old or older, but in school, is still covered by the Child Protection Policy of the Department of Education. Further, we have the Prohibited Acts that includes child abuse, discrimination against children, child exploitation, violence against children in school, corporal punishment by any analogous or similar acts, and bullying and peer abuse. So those are the prohibited acts under Department Order number 40, series of 2012. So under this department order, we have the duties and responsibilities of the division office. That is number 1, to conduct information dissemination activities and in-service training for teachers. That is why every year in our office, we see to it that we have a budget for the information dissemination to teachers regarding the child protection policy. But unfortunately, this year, hindi natin nagawa because of that pandemic. But before the pandemic, nag-iikot po ako sa mga schools at nagkakandak ng information dissemination regarding the DepEd Child Protection Policy. Then, another duty of the Division Office is to undertake advocacy campaign and capacity building activities. Then, organize and conduct capacity building activities for the members of Child Protection Committee, guidance counselors, and teachers. So dito po sa organizing or conducting capacity building for the members of Child Protection Committee, guidance counselors, and teachers, we are helped by our stakeholders. At marami pong mga non-government organizations din ang tumutulong sa atin to have our capacity building for our guidance counselors and other members of the Child Protection Committee. The number 4, develop strategies to address the risk factor that contribute to the commission of the child abuse, violence, and etc. And number 5, consolidate reports on the incidents and cases of all schools and submit a division report to the regional office. So you are really aware that in every year we have to submit a consolidated report towards the end of June per school year. At ang sinasubmit po natin na report, that is for the report for the previous years, the incidents of bullying, another form of abuse in the schools. Monitor and evaluate implementation and enforcement of public and private schools of this department order and related laws and regulation. Then another duty of the division office to exercise disciplinary jurisdiction where appropriate. Then number 8, give recommendation to the regional office and devise measure to address and prohibit abuse, exploitation, and other acts. Number 9, utilize resources, coordinate with appropriate offices, agencies, and instrumentalities for assistance. Then, number 10, encourage and support activities and campaign. And number 11, perform function assigned by the secretary or the regional director. So, yun po yung mga gawain ng division office. Now, puntahan naman natin yung specific na duties and responsibilities of schools and school heads embodied in Department Order number 40, series of 2012. Number 1, to ensure the institution of effective child protection policy and procedure and monitor the compliance thereof. So yun po yung duty ng school, ensuring that the institution has an effective child protection policy. Then, number 2, to ensure that the school adopt the child protection policy. The number 3, ensure all pupils, students, or learners, school personnel, parents, guardians, custodians, visitors, and guests are made aware of the child protection policy. So, the school should have exert effort, should have make effort to make our personnel, parents, guardian, custodian, visitors, and guests that they will be made aware of the child protection policy of the Department of Education. Then, number 4, to organize and convene the Child Protection Committee for the school. You have now your functional Child Protection Committee per school in the District of Labisares and in the District of Paranas. The number 5, conduct capacity building activities for Child Protection Committee and guidance counselor teachers. Then we have also number 6, conduct disciplinary proceedings in the cases of offenses committed by pupils, students, or the learner. So it is included in the duties and responsibilities of the school, the conduct of disciplinary proceeding. Then number 7, ensure that the participatory and other rights of the children are respected, uphold in all matters and procedures affecting their welfare. The number 8, maintain a record of all proceedings related to bullying, peer abuse, and submit after each school year to the Department of Education. So, nasabi ko po kanina na kailangan magsabit natin ng report in the month of June to the division office so that the division office will consolidate and it will be submitted to the regional office, which will in turn submit to the central office for the consolidation. Then, next, we have a conduct of appropriate training and capacity building activities on the child protection measures and protocols. Ensure that the schools adopt the student code of conduct. So I hope that your school has already this code of conduct. It is really necessary. Number 8, adopt a conflict resolution mechanism that respect the indigenous people's rights. Then number 9, coordinate with the appropriate offices and agencies for assistance. The number 10, coordinate to DSWD or appropriate national government agencies, non-government organization on a child protection hotline. And next is ensure that all incidents are addressed in accordance with the provision of this department order. Later on, we will study how to refer cases to DSWD, to the PNP. That is why your duty in school, you have to coordinate with these offices. So pag-aralan natin yung members of the Child Protection Committee. Public school and private elementary and secondary school shall establish a Child Protection Committee. Aralan natin yung Child Protection Committee all public and private elementary schools shall establish a child protection committee. Who are the members? The members are the school head or school administrator, guidance counselor, or a teacher designated as a guidance counselor, teacher representative. We have parent representative, student representative, and representative from barangay or barangay local government unit. So what is the function of a child protection committee? I have divided it into three main functions. That is to initiate, develop and implement, and ensure. Now let us remember that the duty of the child protection committee is not to settle the issues or incidents of bullying and other child abuse cases. Our duties and functions to have the amicable settlement of the incidents of bullying and child abuse that happened in our schools. As a matter of fact, it is not included in our functions. And that incident is not subject for amicable settlement. What are the functions of the Child Protection Committee? It includes initiate. That is the child protection policy, information, dissemination program and activities, and initiate coordination with women and children protection desk of the PNP, LSWDO, and other agencies. Then, you have also to develop and implement school-based referral and monitoring system. Then, system for identifying student at risk. Then, develop and implement a positive and effective measure and procedure in child support. Then, the Child Protection Committee has the duty to ensure the assistance of parents or guardians, then the identification, referral, and reporting of cases, then respect for child's right in a matter affecting their welfare. So yun po yung mga gawain ng Child Protection Committee. And we move on to the administrative disciplinary measures in the Department of Education. Now, these administrative disciplinary measures applies only when the perpetrator is the personnel of the Department of Education. In this note, we all know that the disciplining authority of teachers is the regional director, and the disciplining authority of non-teaching staff is the school's division superintendent. So what I will discuss to you is the procedure for the administrative disciplinary action if the perpetrator is a DepEd personnel. Iba naman po ang pagtrato kung ang perpetrator is not coming from the personnel of the Department of Education. Halimbawa, there is an instance that a student has disclosed to you, telling you that she was sexually abused by her stepfather, her older brother, her tiyo. So, the procedure will not apply to them, especially if they are not an employee or a personnel of the Department of Education. What we will do is just for the referral of the child to the proper authorities. What I will be discussing to you is the procedure if the perpetrator is a personnel of the Department of Education. Number 1, conducting of investigation and reporting of cases. So the school head, school's division superintendent shall forward the complaint to the disciplining authority within 48 hours. So if the perpetrator is non-teaching, it will be forwarded to the school's division superintendent, the disciplining authority, within 48 hours. But if the perpetrator is a teacher, it will be forwarded to the regional director within 48 hours as being the disciplining authority. Then, the disciplining authority shall conduct a fact-finding investigation within 72 hours of report. Then, the disciplining authority shall impose administrative sanction. So, yun po yung procedure on how to deal with administrative disciplinary measure if the perpetrator is a personnel of the Department of Education. Number 55, series of 2013, that is the Implementing Rules and Regulations of Anti-Bullying Act of 2013. So, bullying includes threats, stalking, taking of property, public humiliation, damage of property, physical violence, demanding sexual abuse or monetary favors, and restraining the freedom and liberty of a pupil or student. So in this connection, I would like to tell you that the definition of bullying is peer abuse, an act or an acts directed towards another student. So yun po yung definition ng bullying in relation to DepEd Child Protection Policy. Kasi there is a misconception na nagaganap. Yung ibang parents, sinasabi nila na binubuli po ng teacher yung aking anak. So hindi po natin masasabi na binubuli ng teacher ang inyong anak kung magkaganon. Dahil as far as the bullying is concerned in the DepEd Child Protection Policy, its definition is that it is an act or series of acts directed towards another student. So yung teacher, hindi yan maaaring sabihin na binubuli yung kanyang estudyante. So in DepEd Order number 53 series of 2013, if there is an incidence of bullying, you have to accomplish the intake sheets and maintain record. So you have as a school, you must have this record for the incidence of bullying, and you have to put it in the intake sheets. Saan natin mahahanap yung mga intake sheets? Nasa attachment po yan ng Department Order number 55 series of 2013. Then, as a school, you have also the duty to adopt and implement the implementing rules and regulations. Provide students and parents a copy of this anti-bullying policy, then conduct capacity building to teachers and to stakeholders and of course to our students, then ensure an effective implementation and monitoring, and ensure the safety of the victim, bully, and bystander. So later we'll discuss how to handle bullying incident in school. Response: if you happen to witness a bullying incident inside the school premises, so ganito po ang gagawin. Attention of any school personnel shall be immediately called. So tatawagin si teacher, kaya si school administrator, o kaya any other school personnel. And that school personnel shall intervene. The intervention involved stopping the bully and retaliation immediately. To separate the students, separate the victim, and separate the bully. Removing the victim or the bully from the site, then ensuring the victim's safety, and bring the bully to the guidance counselor or to the school personnel. So yun po ang ating immediate response if we happen to witness a bullying incident. How do we manage bullying and other acts of abuse? So these are the procedures that is under our Department Order number 53 series of 2013. So all bullying incidents must be reported to the school head. Then the school head or school personnel shall have recorded the incident in the intake sheets as provided in Department Order number 40 series of 2012. Then the school head shall inform the parents and hold a meeting. After that, the student shall be referred to the Child Protection Committee, and the Child Protection Committee shall have a psychosocial support. Punitive measures may be given as a last resort, and that will include suspension or any other measures as may be appropriate. So tandaan po natin again that the duty of the Child Protection Committee is not to come up with the amicable settlement. But however, if both parties they would like to come up with a settlement, it's for them to initiate, but it's not for the Child Protection Committee to initiate. Go to fact-finding and documentation. This is maybe done by the school head or the guidance counselor or the teacher designated as the guidance counselor in the school. So we have to separately interview the bully and the victim privately. Bakit kailangan po ng separate interview ng victim at ng bully? Para hindi po magkainitan, magkasagutan, o kaya lalo magkagulo kung at the same time you are interviewing the victim and the bully. So you can do the interviews separately. Then, determine the level of threats and develop intervention strategies. Then, determine the level of threats and develop intervention strategies. So, aalamin mo ngayon kung ano nga ba yung mga panganib na dala ng bullying o kaya insidente na nangyari sa dalawa. Then, inform the victim and the guardian of the steps to be taken to prevent further acts of bullying or retaliation. By this, you have also to call the guardian or the parents and inform them of the steps to further prevent the acts of bullying and retaliation. Then, make appropriate recommendation to the Child Protection Committee on proper intervention, referral, and monitoring. So, if there is a higher level of threat, you have really to recommend to refer the case to a proper authorities, halimbawa sa LSWDO o kaya to the local PNP. The Child Protection Committee shall determine the appropriate intervention program for the victim, the bully, and the bystander. Then, if it is possible, the school head and the Child Protection Committee shall refer the victim and the bully to the trained professional outside the school. For possible criminal charges against bully and the offending student, the designated school personnel shall notify the Women and Children's Protection Desk, WCPD, of the local Philippine National Police. So to bear in mind the criminal responsibility of the minor. So yung minor na below 15 years old, totally they have no criminal responsibility. And those minor who is more than 15 years old but below 18 years old, they have only criminal responsibility if it is done with discernment. Next, pag-usapan natin ngayon yung procedure in bullying incident. So after the bullying incidents, you have to record it. After the bullying incident, there must be a report to school head, guidance counselor, and guidance teacher. Then the guidance counselor or school head or teacher designate will fill out the intake sheets. Then they will have the fact-finding and documentation as what was discussed a while ago. Then it will be referred to Child Protection Committee after the fact-finding and documentation. During the fact-finding documentation, you will separate the victim and the bully, must be assisted by the parents or guardians, identify the level of threats. As what we have discussed a while ago, inform the victim and the parents and make a proper recommendation to Child Protection Committee. After the fact-finding documentation, you will make a necessary interventions and if appropriate, you have to refer the case to the trained professional, social worker, o kaya sa WCPD. So those are the procedures in handling bullying incidents. Then we go to procedure for handling child abuse cases. So as I have said, this procedure is only if the perpetrator is a DepEd personnel. If the perpetrator is not a Department of Education personnel, what we do if there is a student who disclosed to us that she was abused or she was maltreated, our duty is to refer them to the proper authorities. We do not refer them to Department of Education, to higher office in the Department of Education. because we do not have the jurisdiction over the person of the perpetrator. Pag hindi siya personnel ng Department of Education. However, in this case, kung siya ay personnel ng Department of Education, here is the procedure. Filing a complaint to the school head or to the school principal, then the school principal will endorse the complaint to the school's division superintendent if the perpetrator is a non-teaching staff or perpetrator is a teacher. It can be endorsed also to school's division superintendent. However, in case of non-teaching staff, the disciplining authority is the school's division superintendent. So, the school's division superintendent will now order for the investigator the conduct of the investigation. However, if the perpetrator or the abuser is a teacher, the school's division superintendent shall forward the complaint to the regional director because the disciplining authority of the teachers is the regional director. Then after the fact-finding investigation, the disciplining authority will determine whether there is really a need for the perpetrator or abuser to be formally charged. So if there is already a formal charge, the disciplining authority may move for the suspension of the perpetrator or for the reassignment or transfer of the perpetrator, abuser to other schools as a preventive measure. After that, the formal investigation will be conducted and the disciplining authority will resolve or decide for the case. Remember the confidentiality rule. The identity of the child or the identity or information that may be reasonably identify the pupil, student, or learner, whether victim or offender, shall be withheld from public to protect his or her privacy. So hindi po natin maaaring i-divulge, ipagsabi sa iba kung sino ang victim o kaya sino yung perpetrator. Lalong-lalo na po kung sila po ay bata. Violation of confidentiality rule. Lalong-lalo na po kung nakikichismis lang yung nagtatanong sa atin. Then also, if the case is against teacher, no publicity shall be given to any disciplinary actions against teacher during the pendency of his or her case. So let us remember the confidentiality rule. Because there's a referral system for criminal and civil complaint. So first, a filing of a complaint to the school head or to the principal, then the child protection committee will handle the incident. They will have to fill out the intake sheets, then if possible, refer the case to the PNP for possible filing of a criminal action, then assessment, psychosocial intervention protective measure to LSWDO and to DSWD regional office or to non-government organization and other government organization. For monitoring system, you have to make a report to the division office. The division office will consolidate and submit it to regional office. The regional office will consolidate and submit it to the central office. Here are some forms like the intake sheets. So it is attached to Department Order number 40, series of 2012. Then we have the other forms. Nandyan yan sa mga department order. Okay, so yun lamang po. Maraming salamat po. Maraming salamat po sa inyong kooperasyon at nagpapasalamat din po ako sa organizers for giving us a chance to explain to our teachers and to our stakeholders the DepEd Child Protection Policy. Maraming salamat po. Magandang araw po sa ating